Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Dr. Alexander's Practical Spirituality segment. And today I just want to share another practical tip with you to help you practice your faith and to deepen your faith life while we're all stuck at home during this COVID quarantine. So in our first segment, we talked about the morning reflection, this idea coming from Francis de Sales, that we think about our day, we reflect on, or maybe anticipate who we're going to be encountering that day, the challenges we might face during the day, and we set some resolutions at the start of the day for how we're going to respond. Last time, we looked at the evening examen from St. Ignatius of Loyola. And the evening examen is just an ordinary practice of reflecting on our day, noting where we experienced the love of God during the day, and also noting where we were perhaps less loving than we should have been. And then, of course, we ask for the grace to do better tomorrow. Today's tip comes from a friend of mine, Father Mike, who taught me about the 1 minute fast. And the 1 minute fast is a very simple exercise where you basically pause for 1 minute before you start to eat something. And this is a really interesting way of just becoming more mindful of what you're about to do and becoming more grateful for the food that you are about to eat. It helps calm your body, especially if during that 1 minute you are maybe practicing some deep breathing. Helps you calm your body and calm your mind so that you are able to enjoy your food a little bit more. You're able to digest it better. You're not eating it with that stress in the middle of your stomach where you're just like, I just want to put this food in my mouth and eat it because I'm so stressed out. So it helps you relax. It helps you enjoy what you're about to eat. You become more aware of the smells, maybe more aware of the flavors in the food. And why I'm recommending this as a spirituality tip is because this really helps us to practice discipline, self-discipline, and especially helps us to practice disciplining our body, because sometimes there are things that we want to do. We have these desires we want to act out on, and it's difficult to control ourselves. But if we can learn to practice with this 1 minute fast before we eat, then the bigger challenges are going to be so much easier. So that's this week's top tip. Just pause for a moment before you eat, take a few breaths, practice that 1 minute fast, and watch as your self-discipline grows. All right, have a great week, everybody.
Well, hi everyone, welcome back to Mr. Culver's Book Corner. So, some of you are probably getting cabin fever, you're probably trying to get out of the house, you feel a little bit antsy. Well, you gotta stay safe, you gotta stay at home, so what you can do is read a great travel book. Now, I'm gonna recommend a book called The Colossus of Marusi. This is by the great author Henry Miller. He was an American author. He died in 1980. He lived to be about 90 years old. And this book is about a trip he took to Greece. And it's just a travel book. It's about him going around to the different islands, hanging out with certain friends he knows there, just going around to all the beautiful locations in Greece, exploring the culture and the history, the food, the sights and the sounds. And you just feel like you're there. So if you're just trying to get out of your house, or at least in your mind, then I would recommend this book. It's beautifully written. It's just about a couple of months he spent there, and it's just kind of this magical voyage to this amazing, beautiful place with fascinating people. You feel like you're there eating the food, talking to the people, getting on the boats and going from island to island. So check it out, The Colossus of Marusi by Henry Miller, and I hope you enjoy. All right, have a good one.
Hello everyone, welcome to Webb's weekly movie musical suggestion. Have you ever been in the middle of a project and you've had it all planned out, you knew where you were heading, had a great plan and a great idea of what you were going to do, and then in the middle of it, you think, nope, this is not working and I've got to change, and you've got to change the scope of the whole project and where you're headed and all that kind of stuff? Well, that's the story behind this week's movie musical suggestion. Last week, April 23rd, was the 404th anniversary of the death of probably the greatest poet and playwright of the English language, William Shakespeare. It's also considered his birthday. Now, we don't know exactly when he was born because the church at the time didn't keep that kind of record. They only kept record of his christening date, which at the time they made sure was always done within a day or two or three of the birthday of the infant, because the infant mortality rate was so high 400 years ago. They wanted to make sure they were at least christened before the possibility of them dying. So it's generally considered that April 23rd is both Shakespeare's birthday and his death day. Now, there have been several of Shakespeare's plays that have been taken and changed into musicals, from Taming of the Shrew to Kiss Me Kate, from Twelfth Night to All Shook Up, which was our musical 2 years ago. Now, this week's movie musical suggestion takes Shakespeare's story of two families in a huge blood feud fighting. Now, when they'd meet each other on the street, it wasn't just yelling insults at each other or saying bad words and things like that. It was down and dirty, dragged out fights, swords out, people dying in the streets. The crew that took this play, they wanted to take it and just update it to current day, and so they thought what would be a great background for this family strife would be to take Catholic families in New York and against Jewish families in New York. And as they went through building the show and planning it, they found that this conflict wasn't enough to drive what the type of story they wanted to tell. So they had to stop in the middle of the project, go back, rethink it, and start over again. They came up with the idea that instead of religious strife, it became gang warfare. And so you had the European immigrant gangs against the Hispanic Puerto Rican gangs in New York, fighting against each other, all this strife and conflict, and that there were two lovers, star-crossed lovers, that changed the history and story of this community. This week's movie musical suggestion, in honor of the Multicultural Week we are celebrating at school this week, as well as Shakespeare's birthday and death day, is West Side Story, whose original working title was East Side Story. It's available on almost every single digital platform you can think of, from YouTube to Hulu to Vudu and Amazon Prime. Enjoy.